Welcome back, my duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and it's time to continue our journey with the Earthbound Immortals. Again, we're down to like the last few of them, I think. I think we've only got like 3 or 4 of these things left. I want to say it's 4. Um, so it's going to bleed off into next week too, I believe. But real quick, we are going to be dealing with, and I'm going to mispronounce the heck out of this. So I'm going to say the name once, and then I'm going to call this guy Shamu from now on, okay? So what we're going to be playing is 3 copies of the Earthbound Immortal, Chaku Chalhua, maybe? Or, looks like an orca, I'm going to call it Shamu. Again, like all Earthbound Immortals, there can only be one of these on the field at a time. And by that, I mean one Earthbound Immortal monster. If there is no face-up field spell on the field, you will destroy it. Your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. This card may attack the opponent directly. The things that this one does amazingly on its own is once per turn, you may inflict damage to the opponent equal to half this card's defense on the field. And this card may not attack the turn that you activate this effect. And again, that sort of makes sense. Additionally, while this card is in defense mode, the opponent may not even conduct their battle phase. So what that means is you have no main phase 2 if this character is in defense. The opponent just has to go, okay, well, start, draw, stand by, main 1, can't activate it, can't even go into my battle phase. So I guess we'll just have to go to end phase. So again, kind of cool, has the ability to perform lockdowns. Later on in the future, we may do a lockdown deck featuring this card, just for the heck of it, because it's actually not that bad a card. And again, since we are going to be playing Monarchs, this deck is going to be pretty basic. There's not going to be an extra deck. And again, if you need to, you can sort of just lean on the Monarch playstyle. Because honestly, this one's just kind of goofy. This one can brick hard because that's what Monarchs do. But it was a fun concept. So the numbers I'm running here, we're going to be running 2 copies of Dea, the Heavenly Squire. When a normal or special summon a monster with Squire or Vassal stats from the deck in defense with a different name. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. That's fine, we didn't pack one. If this is sent to the graveyard, you may target 1 banished Monarch spell or trap card. Add that card to your hand, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So again, you got to remember when you're dealing with the Monarchs right now, even Pantheism and Stormforth are both at 3 right now. So there really isn't any limitations on Monarchs. So again, you guys can just play that however you like. Again, since we're playing Adea, we're going to play Ether, the Heavenly Monarch. Again, this is going to count as like a Mega Monarch of sorts based on stats. You can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 tribute summon monster instead. Normally requires 2 tributes. Again, it is 8 stars. If this card is tribute summoned, you may send 2 Monarch spell traps with different names from the hand and or deck to the discard pile. If you do special summon a monster with 2400 or more attack, plus 1000 defense. So essentially, you're going to play a Monarch / Mega Monarch by the effect. And again, return that card to your hand during the end phase. During your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your hand, you may banish 1 Monarch spell trap from the graveyard. Immediately after this, tribute summon this card. This is a quick effect. So again, you can play this during the opponent's turn, which is great because again, like usual, we are going to be able to use Stormforth because it's going to be a quick play. So you can absolutely tag a Stormforth, then Ether's effect as a pair of quick effects and use that to play this during the opponent's turn. It's actually pretty funny. Also, we're going to be running 2 copies of Eidos, the Underworld Squire. Again, our play is to play to Adea to get to Eidos. If this is normal or special summon during the main phase this turn, you contribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summoner set. Additionally, you can only gain this effect once per turn. So again, you can't stack this, having multiples of these. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target a monster with Squire / Vassal stats in the graveyard with a different name to special summon it in defense mode. Also, you may not special from the extra deck for the remainder of the turn. Each of these effects, use this effect only once per turn because the other one's a static effect. It's not trigger. And they already said that you can't stack that effect. So again, what you want to do is you play, and especially if you could special summon this, you can bop this for this, and then still get to do more summons. And then on the next turn, what you could do is banish this to get another one out of your deck. Again, I wanted to streamline this deck a little bit, so this is the reason why they're only at 2s. Normally, I do run them at 3s. We are going to run 2 copies of Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. You may tribute summon this by, again, tributing 1 tribute summon monster card. If this card is tribute summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell traps with different names from the hand and or deck to the graveyard. If you do, shuffle 1 card from the opponent's hand at random. Wait. 1 card from your opponent's hand, graveyard, or side of the field. Okay, so you get to pick, but if you choose hand, it's going to be random. If it's the other ones, you get a choice. Shuffle that back into the deck once per turn during either player's main phase. If this is in the graveyard, you can discard 1 Monarch spell trap card, target a monster in your graveyard with Monarch or Mega Monarch stats, and add that to your hand. So again, really nice. And then one of the things that really saves us with this build is going to be 3 Vanity's Fiends, just making sure that neither player can special summon, and of course, this card itself cannot be special summoned. So just really basic. It's a very small monster board, but when you see the spell traps, I think you guys will understand. And since we are going to have to tribute summon to play Shamu, we are absolutely going to be able to utilize the Monarch support with him. So just a second, screenshot, pause, and notes. I'll be right back with the spells and the traps. First up for our spells, we do need to make sure that we have some tributes. So again, Change Your Heart is legal at 1, so we are going to play 1. Also, we do need a field spell, and since the field spell is actually pretty searchable with this deck, we will be using 2 copies of Domain of the True Monarchs rather than going to a playset, because again, this can clog. However, we do have 3 Pantheism, so you can also discard this to draw cards. So really, that's player's choice there. While you have no cards in your extra deck, and again, we don't, and you're the only player that controls the tribute summon monster, and again, that's pretty likely anymore in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! As well, the opponent may not special summon monsters from their extra deck. So again, we can shut them down from touching it without even having the Vanity's Fiend. If a tribute summon monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, we get an 800-point boost during the damage calculation. And once per turn, we may reduce the level of a monster with Mega Monarch stats by 2 till the end of the turn, even after they are summoned set, and even after this card leaves the field. So what this means is we could technically just play the 2 Megas off of the single monster card anyway. Doesn't actually have to be a tribute summoned card. Then we have a tech card. We're going to play the single copy of Feather Duster. We're going to play 2 copies, March of the Monarchs. This one, you may drop this one down to 1/2 just to make some more room for more monsters, maybe. March of the Monarchs, tribute summon monsters you control cannot be targeted. Nah, you're going to keep this one. Tribute summon monsters you control cannot be targeted by or destroyed by card effects. You cannot special summon from the extra deck. And again, this is going to add another level of protection to our Earthbound Immortal plus everybody else. Single Monster Reborn, because, you know, we're going to be taking our opponent's monsters and putting them in the discard pile. So maybe we don't want to special summon our own back. We can get theirs and still tribute the cards. So, very good. 1 for 1, send a monster card from our hand to the discard to special summon a level 1. Of course, this could allow you to do a nice summoning loop where you can get your Idea to Eidos, tribute summon, you know, the first one, and then, you know, play your field spell to tribute summon the second one to get your extra normal summon tribute for the round, and then end up with 2 Monarch level monster cards, you know, Vanity's Fiend plus one of the big ones, and just have an excellent field. I did do that a few times. It was a lot of fun. Pantheism of the Monarchs. This one's a great spell card. You got to run this at playset. Set a Monarch spell trap from the hand to the discard to draw 2. Banish this from your graveyard. Reveal 3 Monarch spell traps from the deck. The opponent chooses 1 to add to your hand. Shuffle the remainder back into the deck. Second effect is a hard once per turn. Now, real quick, because this has got some merit to it. If you guys remember, and I think she's still on the table here, so if you guys give me a second. If you guys remember me playing the Layer of Darkness deck, we had an effect very similar to this in the monster card Lilith, Lady of Lament. So again, when this says reveal 3 normal traps from the deck, the opponent randomly chooses one, whatever, okay? We knew that we were allowed to pick the same trap card as long as we had 3 copies. Same thing works with Pantheism. So again, if we want to make sure like we get Stormforth, obviously I'm going to tell you that we run it at 3 because it's one of the most useful spells in the deck. Well, I can reveal 3 copies of Stormforth and not have to rely on opponent interaction to know that I'm going to get it. So again, you guys can do that with Pantheism. The only card that actually says different would be Ether and Erebus, as they actually say like the ones that you have to send have to have different names. So again, they were printed at the same time. If they wanted to do that, they would have done it. There would have been an errata. If there is an errata and I'm just ignorant and I missed it, please correct me, but be gentle, okay? My feelings are soft, or I will send my Thousand Eyes Restrict after you. In case you guys don't know, I showed this off last video. We've got a new mascot down here. We picked this up at the Doomsday Comics. Very cool little mascot for the dungeon down here. Back to the deck, right? So 2 copies of Raigeki. And again, you guys could always pop a 3rd in here if you really like. I didn't find it necessary. 2 was enough. In fact, I may take the Raigekis out just to add a couple more monsters, maybe one more Eidos and Idea. And realistically, it's like you've got Change of Heart and 3 Stormforths. Like you've got 4 ways to tribute monsters and off them. The Geki just feels a little heavy-handed. I just did it because I do it. Reinforcement, again, the small ones should be Warriors. Nope, just Idea. So again, this is a great way to pick her. So that and the 1-for-1 belong to her. 1 copy Return of the Monarchs. And you guys might not want this one in this build either. But I did find it fun, especially when I would tribute into Shamu and then get a Monarch. So what this says is you cannot special summon from the extra deck. When you tribute summon a monster, activate one of the following. Add 1 with Monarch stats or add 1 with Mega Monarch stats with a different name than the one that you just tribute summoned. Again, Shamu's got an Earthbound Immortal name, so we could just pick up a Monarch. Tribute summon monster must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. Use this only once per turn. And again, that's fair because we do have ways of doing additional tribute summons. Tenacity at 3. So this is another great pick for Pantheism. Reveal a monster in your hand with Monarch or Mega Monarch stats. Add 1 Monarch spell trap from deck to hand with a different name. Only activate once per turn. Terraforming, because again, maybe you don't want to waste your tenacity going for the field spell. So again, this is like four searches that could go to the field spell. So it's like having 6 copies of that. Or we can go ahead, we can dig into the Pantheism, we can dig into the Stormforth, we can get into the traps, anything else that we need. And it really lets us run some of the other cards at lower numbers, which is why we only have like the 1 return, the double march, stuff like that. 3 Stormforths, and again, quick play. So once during the turn, if you attribute summon a monsters for a tribute summon, you may use 1 that your opponent controls as if you controlled it. Only activate 1 copy of this per turn. And during the turn that you activate this, again, you can't play anything from your extra deck. That just doesn't exist. So that's fantastic. The traps are really easy. Escalation, once per turn during the opponent's main phase or their battle phase, we can activate the effect to tribute summon a monster card. So again, we do that. We do Stormforth. We could do Ether. We could summon other monsters. More useful in a traditional Monarch deck. But I was able once or twice to actually play my Earthbound Immortal during my opponent's turn, which was just kind of goofy fun. Additionally, we're going to be running 2 Monarchs Erupt. Activate while you have no cards in the extra deck and control a tribute summon monster. Negate the effect of all face-up monsters on the field while they are face-up on the field, except those that were tribute summoned. So again, you can play your Earthbound Immortal, and now you can look at your opponent and go, well, I control the Earthbound Immortal. He was tribute summoned. Your monsters are going to lose their effects, but not him. Also, during the end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, you will have to send this to the discard. So again, sort of a semi-skill drain. Works out pretty well. Last card, 1 copy Prime Monarch. Once per turn, you can target 2 Monarch spell traps in the graveyard to shuffle them back into the deck to draw a card. Again, once per turn, we can use that effect. So that's awesome. Like really, really awesome. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can banish 1 other Monarch spell trap card from the graveyard to special summon this card in defense as a normal monster with inverted Monarch stats, meaning that the attack will be the 1,000, the defense will be the 24. This will no longer be treated as a trap card. So, if we're going Monarch v Monarch, Mobius can't just break this. Additionally, in like Speed Duel, things like Cosmic Cyclone would not be able to work on it, which is kind of crazy. And you can only use this effect once per turn. So that, my friends, is the deck. I do hope that you enjoyed it. We have another one coming up tomorrow. We're going to feature it in Black Wings, of all things. And believe it or not, Celestial Duelist helped put that one together. Now, she's more excited for you guys to see what she has in store Friday, as she plans on presenting her Earthbound Immortal that day. So do tune in for that. It's going to be crazy because you know she's a good player. Everybody else, if you guys enjoyed this, please support the channel. Likes and comments are the easiest, cheapest. They're free. They take you seconds to do. They increase our visibility on the platform. That really affects the algorithm, helps other duelists find us so that they can also enjoy this, because sometimes you just want to goof on me because I make an obvious mistake, and I do that. And of course, I will admit to it when I do it, because, you got to have a little fun like that. But additionally, if you've been enjoying the content, consider subscribing, letting your friends know. And additionally, guys, even if you don't do any of those 4 things, do me one favor. Go out today, and I know that you've been putting something off that you want to do, and I'm giving you permission, and I want you to go do that thing. So you haven't had that, like the new, I don't know, winter flavored coffee. Go get it today, okay? Go enjoy yourself. Take 20, 30 minutes out of the day for you. Okay, you deserve it. You're a wonderful person, and I don't know who needs to hear that, but I'm here to tell you that, all right? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go build another deck. You guys go do the thing. I'm going to go have a good day because you guys spent this time with me, and I'll be back tomorrow with another deck, all right? See you later, my friends.